Yeah, how's it going, guys? And welcome back to another part of Katawa Shoujo. Where we last left off. In the previous part, I agreed with Lily, blah blah blah, doing homework, and now trying to write a reply to Iwanako. Iwanako lies on my desk. Oh, I did that already. As I feared, my second task for the day turns out to be just as difficult as the first, if not harder. It's been so many months since we even saw each other. Even so, I can still remember what she looked like, what she sounded like, and what she acted like. By now, though, the little details are beginning to slip away. When I first saw her letter, I barely recognized her handwriting at all. Even the pink pen she always used was forgotten until her writing reminded me of it. I wonder why she didn't use it for the letter. She used to write everything with it. Maybe she thinks it's too immature now. I should be thinking about myself and about what I want to communicate to her. My mind can't stop concentrating on her though. On the past we shared before, it was taken away so suddenly. The bright and slightly garish decorations suit her sense of aesthetics. Picking up the letter to take a closer look at it, I give a long sigh. This is the last link binding me to my past. Iwanago didn't suddenly cease to exist when she left my hospital room for the last time, but I needed this letter to remind me of that. I had all those feelings neatly filed away. I felt as I didn't need them, that I could just begin life completely anew. It was easier that way. In the end, I suppose that was a rather naive thing to think. Sooner or later, my past would have caught up with me, one way or another. Or the other. But what am I supposed to say to her? Thank you for bringing me closure? All the letter did was end the sense of closure I'd previously felt. Try as I might, I can't write so much as a single word down on the paper in front of me. I can't even think of what exactly I want to say. Putting the letter down on top of the blank sheet, I gathered the materials together and filed them away in my drawer. The clunk the desk makes as it closes makes me momentarily tense in frustration before I get up and go grab a drink from the vending machine on the first floor. I tried, but I couldn't do it. After all the time that's passed, I still don't know how to deal with Iwanako. Another eye catch? They're pretty close to each other. The library, not humming with activity, is noticeably more busy than usual. Exams are not far away, and that's reflected in the number of students burying their noses in textbooks at the tables around us. I've been studying quite a lot in the past few days, just like them, in hope of doing well in the exams. This also means that Hano and I have been playing games less, so she's begun studying as well as just to fill in the time. Nevertheless, I found myself forsaken by her by this particular day. A textbook in front of me has remained on the same page for some time. After so much reading on subjects I couldn't care less about if not for the exams, my mind is beginning to wander. I find my eyes flicking over to where Hanako would usually be, just like on the day she wasn't in class. Her usual beanbag in the corner of the room is conspicuously unoccupied. It was here that we first really met. I tried to start a conversation with her, she got skittish and eventually bolted from the room altogether. I probably shouldn't smile about it, but it was kind of amusing in hindsight. Nowadays it's more and more difficult to imagine her doing such a thing, even with Lily gone. She's been doing well now that she's come out of her room. I want to talk to her, or at least to play another game of chess. I'm tired of studying and it's been a few days since we've really done anything together. The question of where to find Hanako isn't a particularly difficult one. If she's not in the library, chances are that she's either in the tea room for some peace and quiet or in the dormitory room. Decided to check them in that order, I pack up my books and make my way out of the library. I stretch and give a loud groan as I walk down the hallway. Studying may be frustrating at times, but with the progress I feel I've made, there is also some sense of pride in getting it done. It's a good feeling. There isn't a sound to be heard from the inside as I stand in front of the door to Hanako's room. I guess that isn't a very indicative of whether she's inside or not, given how quiet she usually is. Still, She wasn't in the tea room. I tried knocking lightly to make my presence known, but I'm surprised when I find the door unlocked and yielding at my touch. With a small creak, the door opens. It looks like my suspicions were correct. Hanako is indeed here. She's sitting at the table with the open book in front of her, but pays it no heed as she keeps looking out the window. She looks utterly oblivious to my presence. With her head thoughtfully resting on her hand, she looks calm and collected. It's a shame she can't look at like this more often. Smiling a little, I walk up to the table and softly speak to her. Good evening, Hanako. Hanako's head turns a little to see me, but she's still only half there. I put a hand on the table and lower my head to better look at her face, mildly curious about what mood she's in. What's up? She gasped a little, finally acknowledging my presence in the room for the first time. Hanako's blushing really heavily. Her mouth is open just a little, as if paused mid-sentence. Most striking, though, is what she's doing. Oh, we're pretty up close to her face now. And we're slowly zooming in. Very slowly. I wonder how close we can get before it stops zooming in very slowly. And stops there. She's looking directly at me. Her eyes are pinned on my own. On my own. From such a close distance that I can almost see my reflection in them. They don't turn away, nor move at all. They're absolutely still, just looking into me, into mine. They're dark and give her almost an analytical air. Even when reading on subjects she has no interest in, she would appear to be wrapped in her work to a casual observer. She absorbs information very well, and even now I can feel that. I feel like I'm seeing something behind those eyes that I never saw before. I don't know what it is, though. Hanako? Her lips move just a little, silently mouthing something. She looks like she's on the verge of saying something, but won't say it. But that's the way Hanako always is, on the verge of saying something, but never quite doing it. As I look intently into her eyes, I realize something. Everyone has their own thoughts, things they want to say, their own worldview. But I can't work out what Hanako wants to say. I can't work out what she's thinking. I never have been able to. It's frustrating. It feels like I don't know her at all, despite all the time we spent together. So, it's only now that I find myself blushing. I've been looking directly into Hanako's eyes from such a short distance, with absolutely no regard for her, and she's been looking into mine without shirking away. I quickly look away while covering my face with my hand. Hanako does the same. Another awkward silence reigns. I hate these. At first I accepted them as just being a fact of life around Hanako, but now all they feel like is affirmation of how little we're able to communicate. Some anger makes its way to the complex mixture of emotion I'm experiencing right now. I want to bridge that gap between us. Friends shouldn't have to tiptoe around each other like this. I speak before I can argue myself out of what I'm doing. What I'm going to do. My scarring isn't as bad as Hanako's, and I can't possibly compare my life to hers, but I want to show her that she's not alone. Doing this in such a blunt manner might be the only way to get my point across. Hanako, I want to show you something. I take a deep breath to prepare myself. This could backfire badly, but I feel as if we've come close enough for this to be okay. I'm not going to strip naked or anything. I'm just going to take off my shirt. Oh my god! Hanako's eyes grow to the size of saucers. Her face is an amusing mixture of curiosity and nervousness as she stands. It helps take off the edge of my own nervousness at doing this in front of another person. Slowly, with my entire body feeling tense, I unknot my tie, and I begin to loose my first of the buttons. I'm trying to mentally block out Hanako to make this easier, but it's not really working. As I work my way down, I expect to hear some form of protest from her. She remains silent, though, which just makes this feel even stranger. With the last of my shirt unbuttoned, I take a breath and look at her. Hanako's gaze is fixed on my scarring. As expected, and once I nod to say it's okay, she steps forward and tentatively places her hand on the vertical line running down my chest. Oh. Whoa. The scarring on her hand, a pattern of damaged skin across its surface, contrasts with a single uniform line that makes up mine. Her hand isn't trembling at all, like what I predicted. This is the scar from the surgery that followed my heart attack. Surgeons had to cut open my chest to operate on my heart. I never knew. Hanako's words are calmer and softer than usual. The soft feeling of her fingers moving from my scar to my breast makes me hesitate a little before continuing on. You're the first person to see this since I left the hospital. But why are you showing this to me? I think this should be the thumbnail, because we're pretty far into the Hanako's story. I wanted to prove myself that I could do this, that I could accept my past and move on. I wanted to show that to you as well. She nods. From her reaction, she seems to know how difficult this is for me. More than anything, this scar represents a visible reminder of my condition, a reminder that I'm not normal anymore. Normal. That's something that, until now, I tried my hardest to ignore. As the minutes tick by, Hanako's gaze lingers. Her eyes look less focused on my scarring than before. The situation feels a bit different than it previously did, and makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. Her hand retreats and I draw my shirt closed and begin to button it up. Her blushing face suddenly returns to its typical tense and timid state as she looks away. The room is completely silent as I fix my shirt and tie, feeling put off after such an unexpectedly intimate moment. So, I guess you're not the only one that's scarred. Hanako smiles a little at the joke, thankfully lightening the atmosphere a bit. Thank you, Hisao. I think I understand. I give a long sigh of relief. I really didn't know how she'd take it, but I'm glad everything seems to have worked out as I hoped. Hanako's smiles only proves that further. I'm finding the path I want to follow now, and what Hanako needs to do is to find her own. It's something I can't help her with. It's something that she needs to overcome her past in order to do. Hanako checks her watch. It's getting late by now. Hisao, yeah, I'd better get going. I'll be thankful for some sleep. It's been a long day after all. Good night, Hanako. Good night. I make my way out of her room and into the hallway, remaining silent as I do so. I think both of us have gone through a few emotions today. I skipped the eye catch. The heart of the summertime sun beats down on my sweating brow. Dabbing with a handkerchief doesn't help too much in making me any more comfortable. Giving up the idea of getting more done today, I stop and lean against one of the overpass fences, resting my bag on the ground. Stores in the town below, Imaku, are well stocked and offer enough variety for me to get there. But at least an occasional shopping trip to the city is something that can't really be avoided. I've been here a few times now. The city's layout is getting more familiar, and the nostalgia from its atmosphere is beginning to wear off. I realized that I've begun to wheeze. I sound like an old man that's overexerted himself, having to connect that to the fact that I'm exhausted a bit. I put a hand on my chest and concentrate for a bit to make sure I haven't gone far enough to cause any further problems. Thankfully, my heart is acting normal. There's no dull pain. Beating is regular. A bit fast-paced, as we recover from overdoing things in this kind of heat. I hate my body. It's frustrating to be held back, even more to be held back by fear of my life being ended. My life being ended. When doing something as simple as walking around the city for a while. As I ponder on my health, I feel my pocket vibrating. By the time my phone's begun to ring, my hand is already fishing for it. A glance at the screen shows a caller number I don't recognize. Strange. Shrugging, I press the button to answer the call and bring the phone to my ear. Hello? Hisao Nakai speaking. The sound of a couple of short breaths can be heard, but no actual speech is forthcoming. Hello? Hisao? It's Hanako. Her voice is really easy to place, even if I've never heard it over the phone before. Hanako? Sorry, I wasn't expecting you to call. What's up? If you're not busy, I was wondering if you would like to meet up? Yes. I mean, she sounds really wound up about this. I can hear muffled voices in the background, and it's about time for afternoon tea. So I guess she'll want me to meet up at the Shanghai or something. That sounds fine. Are you at the Shanghai? I mean the city. Hanako's here. Alone? That's a surprise. It's a little wonder she's like this. She's surrounded by people and entirely by herself. That works out well. I'm just wandering around there now. Where are you? Hanako managed to stammer out the street name, address, and some basic direction to where she is. Luckily it's not too far, so I agreed to see her soon after hanging out. I look up at the sky. The summer heat is beating down. This is the first time Hanako has asked for us to do something together beyond a simple board game. And the first time, at least since I've known her, that she's come to the city by herself. Maybe this means that Lily was right. By the time I managed to stagger up to the cafe where Hanako is, I've started to wheeze again. I'm sweating so much that I feel like melting popsicle. I can barely hold the bag in my hand. I need to sit down. Badly. The tables outside are all occupied by busily chatting couples and girls gossiping between themselves. The contrast between the different age groups and fashions of the people here and the people from the town near Yamako is striking. I scan over the people sitting at the tables, but I can't see Hanako. She did say she was sitting outside, so I must be missing her. Not difficult, given how small she usually tries to make her presence. I look around again, more slowly this time. I didn't particularly care to see if I can find Hanako's hat. She's pretty distinctive, and I'd be very surprised she wasn't wearing it. There she is. Sure enough, her head is kept low, and the table she's sitting at is right beside the building in an inconspicuous corner. I walk up to where she is and make sure that I have her attention before I sit, lest I give her a scare. She notices me and gives me a small wave as I arrive at her table. Are you feeling okay? I try my best to laugh it off, but doing so just makes me more out of breath. Not very fit these days, don't mind me. Hanako nods, but still looks a bit put off. Now that I can get a good look at her face, something about her seems a bit different. I'm not sure if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but she looks kinda nice. Her eyes move upwards to look at me, before quickly flickering down again. I begin to think this is going to be a rather quiet meeting, but a waitress thankfully arrives and sets down a cup of tea in front of Hanako. Hanako almost automatically turns slightly away and lowers the side of her head. It's an amazingly practiced motion, and does a good job of its intended purpose, hiding her scars from someone who's leaning in close. Her right arm is still laying on the table though, with the scarring on the back of her hand quite visible. It catches the waitress' eye, and I move to quickly distract her. Excuse me, may I place an order? The waitress nods and gives me a couple of seconds to look at the menu. Could I have a mango smoothie, please? Ooh, that sounds nice. I could go for some mango smoothie. She gives a nod before almost enthusiastically bouncing inside. Everything is so different in the city, in more ways than one. Hanako looks back up towards me and adjusts her head a little. If she notices the waitress staring at her scars, she doesn't show it. Not coffee? I think I'd die from this heat if I had something like coffee right now. Resting my head in my hand, I look to my quiet companion. She seems taken aback, a very unexpected reaction to my lame joke. An unwelcome emotion bubbles up inside me as I realize her reason why. Unlike most in Yamako, indeed, unlike anyone there that I'm aware of, my condition goes beyond limiting the activities I can do. Or to be more precise, reaching those limits that could have been more grave consequences. Thankfully, it's something that's very rarely come up since I entered Yamako. I thought that it was so rare that Hano and Lily might not think of it at all. It turns out that I was wrong. Hanako silently drinks her tea while I wait for my drink, confirming that it's the right temperature with a small sip before she begins in earnest. I feel guilty for being the cause of an uncomfortable silence, since in the past I've been kind of hard on Hanako for those. Eventually, the same waitress as before bounces up, handing me my drink. I gather change from my pocket and drop it in her waitress' hands before she goes off to attend another customer. My eyes linger on her as she walks away. Do you think that she looks pretty? Hanako is following my gaze, her eyes taking in the waitress that served us. I can feel my blood slowly going to my cheeks as I rest my smoothie bag on the table. Nah, I can't really say that I'm really into that look. She just looked a lot like an old friend I knew before my heart attack. Did you have many friends? I had a few at my previous school though. I wouldn't say a lot. The four of us just hung around together after school and stuff. Do you still talk to them? No, we gradually lost contact while I was stuck in the hospital. You're not saddened by that? Or angry? Hanako looks genuinely surprised. I guess it's the right reaction. Well, life did move on for them while I was stuck in the ward. I was pretty sore about it at the time, but now it's just a bunch of nice memories. Besides, once I came to Yamaku, I found new friends as well. That's quite a whitewash of what my feelings were back then. I went through some dark times during my stay at the hospital, and I really am glad that Hanako and Lily were around to help me after I left it. Hanako blushes and we both get down to enjoying our drinks. She seems to have calmed down since I arrived, and I've started to feel a little better now that I've had the chance to rest a bit. So this is getting to be a nice outing already. Even if she's calmer than before, though she's still fidgeting a bit. She runs her hand down one of her bangs as I try to think of something to say. That's right, I was going to ask. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. I didn't know you had a mobile phone. How'd you get my number? Lily gave it to me. I should have guessed. You know, you could have just asked. I'd have given it to you. Want to exchange email addresses? I had in Japan to do emails. Hanako nods, setting down her drinks and fishing out her phone from her pocket as I do the same. They don't do like SMS as we do here. I don't know, America does the same thing with SMS, but apparently in Japan they do emails. At least I think so they do. It's surprisingly the same model as mine. Pink though. Nice phone. She looks at me with a curious expression before noticing my phone and giggling. It's one of the very few times I've seen Hanako let her guard down enough to do such a thing. I didn't pick it up myself though. Oh. It was a present. From Lily. I never really needed a phone and I couldn't afford one. She bought me one for Christmas though, saying that we could use it to keep in touch. They see each other basically every day anyway, both in and out of school. And again, Lily does have her class representative's duties and other friends that she talks with. It'd probably help for a situation like this too, when she's gone away for a while. Lily's a very special person to you, isn't she? She is. Oh. Hanako looks down and smiles as she thinks of her. None of my friendships were as deep as theirs, and I have to admit to myself that I'm a little jealous of their relationship. We tell each other our email addresses and thumb them into our respective phones, and I get Hanako's number from earlier and I put it in my contacts list. Done. That makes 3 now. 3? Lily's sister, I guess, and Hiso. Yep. Got it. Ah, Akira. She's an interesting person, isn't she? She is. She's also really nice, though. Her suits makes her look a bit cool. I'm a little surprised you know each other well. What's with her job taking up so much of her time? Hanako looks down a little and takes another sip of her drink. If I wasn't looking intently at her face, I'd miss the small smile perched on it. I guess when she knows so few people, those she knows must mean a lot to her. How many do you have? Me? About 9 or 10. I hesitate to go into them for fear of rubbing in the fact that Hanako doesn't have parents or apparently even close relatives. Two of those are Shizen and Misha too, which is another can of worms. I imagine that Lily would have more than both of us put together, probably. Hano gives a childish giggle, and I can't help smiling. It's a good feeling that she's gotten this comfortable around me at times like this. I feel like I'm getting close to talking to her true self. Do you mind if I ask something that I've been wondering? Hanako shakes her head as she takes a last sip of her tea, finishing it off. You don't seem very jealous of Lily having lots of friends. Don't you want to make some more friends yourself? Or get to know some of hers? I'm not jealous. I don't like people, so I don't mind not having many friends. That's really not the answer I was expecting. She doesn't look fearful or sad as she says this, but rather quite serious. Hanako rubs her arm awkwardly. Having taken her quietness as a reason to continue, I'm not really sure I should say so. So I end up simply giving her my attention in silence. In middle school, I got bullied a lot. I was called names and got excluded from work groups and sports teams. There were worse things too. And that's what made you not like other people? She shakes her head. That was elementary school. I feel bad for bringing this up now. Adults have enough problems dealing with Hanako's scarring. Children would be all the worse. I had assumed that the way she tried to make her presence not felt was just to avoid people staring at her, or because she was afraid of them. Certainly not because she genuinely didn't want to interact with them in the first place as well. I noticed the condensation from a neglected smoothie forming a little puddle around the bottom of the cup, so I take the opportunity to finish it off. As I drink, she begins to fiddle with her phone. It looks like she's remembering. She remembered the people around her again and began to tense up. This isn't exactly a cheap phone. I had to save up for quite a while to afford one when I got mine. Blah, 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 blah. If Lily went to a private school, she probably wouldn't have too much trouble getting one for a present though. Watching her fiddle with it gives me an idea. Hey Hanako, wait for me. I'll be right back. I put the now empty cup down, slip my phone into a pocket and begin to move off, carefully stepping around the bag I placed beside my feet. Thankfully, sitting around while talking to Hanako helped me feel a lot better than before. Wait, what? Where are you going? Just stay here. I'll be back in a bit. As much as I'd have liked to have chucked back, I know full well that I couldn't. I end up walking back to the cafe, a little blue bag in my right hand. Hanako noticed me quickly, looking about as confused as she did when I left. I deposit the diminutive bag in front of her and sit back down. Is this? It's for you. You can open it. But, hold on. She looks very unsure about it, but eventually gives in. Slowly opens the bag and picks out its contents. Oh, it's a phone strap. A silver chain phone strap dangles from her fingers, ending in a delicate flower. It isn't exactly a masterwork of jewelry, but it's about as much I could afford. Hanako's eyes light up when she looks at it. It's the kind of reaction I was hoping for. The summer sun's lights glints off the silver as it twists to and fro a little. It's not too ostentatious, but it still looks like a little charming. I think it suits her well. Hanako lowers her phone strap on the table and looks at me once more. But it's not Christmas or my birthday. It's fine, don't worry about it. I just thought it might be nice to have something to decorate your phone with. I don't have anything to give to you. I told you it's fine. Friends can give things to each other like this sometimes, right? Friends. Hanako lowers her face so much that I can't see her expressions. She eventually nods before taking her phone and fiddling with the strap to attach it properly. I'm supposed to have something on my phone too. It's not attached to it yet. It's supposed to be this one. But it fills my pocket. As I work, it fills my pocket, so I have to take it off. Thank you, Hisao. Her smile proves infectious. Out of the corner of my eye, I notice a couple getting up and leaving. It reminds me that the bus back to town below Yamagu will be coming soon. I guess we better get going if we want to catch the next bus back to town. You coming as well? Yes. She hastily nods before carefully putting her phone back into her pocket and getting out of the chair. I do the same and pick up the bag that I left beside me on the way out. We walk side by side as we make our way to the bus station, exchanging no words between us. Hanako's gaze is firmly locked ahead of her, though she looks very happy with herself. I'm not sure what I should say to her, but I'm also not sure that I need to say anything. The fact that Hanako is happy and happy because of me is enough to make the load of my arm feel light as a feather. And another other cage. And we end this part here. I did a lot of talking today, so I'm gonna leave you guys in a high five. You're so fine, you're so fine, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Mickey, maybe you just have lunch. I can hear your stomach growling from my desk. I let my deep head drop in disappointment. She seems to take some amusement from my reaction and hops on